Alright, modern mystic response video, but I really don't know if there's a point, but I'll play it from this middle part. It's 13 minutes, but it really doesn't say anything, just redundantly says the same stuff, that there's no point in being a you, or having an ego, or doing this, or doing no point in being you, somehow in your current configuration, because of determinism. And it just doesn't mean anything to me. I have no option to be somebody else. I have no option to be a non-me. And clearly I can calculate that there are things that I will inevitably be motivated to do. So he's arguing as if I'm arguing that somehow I'm not just reading a script. I've said it overtly. I'm just reading my script. Okay, my script was written in the past, and there's nothing here. But he keeps holding up his CD and keeps saying it's already written on the CD. Well, technically it's not. We're in the middle of it being written on the CD. The CD hasn't been written yet. The future has not happened yet. I'm not saying it's going to be something other than inevitable. It will be inevitable. But part of the inevitability is me saying inevitable. Part of the inevitability is me arguing that people still need to have thoughts, and still will have thoughts, and still need to be engaged if the future is going to be a certain way. If what is written is going to have written, stuff got changed and things happened, then people have to do the things that will make change happen. They have to do those things. And they're not going to do those things if somebody says you don't have to do them because it's already written. Well, no, it'll be written based on whether you do them. There'll be success or failure, and success or failure is going to require people to do the work. So he didn't watch my whole video, and it was a long video, and I admit that. I mean, he did say, okay, yes, it was a very eloquent playing with words, as he described it, or, tight roping. And okay, so he gave me credit for that, but he implied that my motive is to do some sort of act or some sort of tightrope, and it's not. I'm just simply stating the simple truth that what we think matters, because what we think will change, what will inevitably affect our behavior. So the thinking process, the talking process, the everything we're processing is all necessary to certain outcomes. And if the outcome, if what is written on the CD is going to be something good, then we have to do good to make the good happen. Duh. I don't know how to analogize this, but I mean, I could analogize it as if, if I knew I had smallpox, and I could logically know it's a contagious, very contagious disease. I could cause a huge outbreak of smallpox, and so I would know that I have to change my behavior. I have to quarantine myself, or I have to do this or that to prevent smallpox from escaping. And so this would be what I would have to do. I would have to be me enough, and logical enough, and thoughtful enough to have those things happen for the outcome of not spreading the disease to be affected. And if I don't have those thoughts, and if I don't care, and I don't pay attention, and then smallpox will be written on the CD that a bunch of people will die of smallpox. I mean, there's a cause and effect, and we're part of we're part of it. We're not sitting here spectating. We're part of the bouncing ball, and we need to bounce. And we need to bounce as things, as people. You can't bounce as a non-person. I mean, it's just, again, I just don't understand this. And again, there's just no point in holding up a CD in front of me and telling me, there, it's already here. It's not here yet because we're writing it. We're part of the writing machine. We're writing the part of the CD that will be inevitably written. And yes, the future will be written. There's a certain thing that's going to end up on the CD. But obviously it's not written yet. And certainly from our perceptual perspective, we still have to pay attention to smallpox is a contagious disease. Don't spread it. I can't just pretend, okay, I can spread it and somehow the future won't get smallpox. Well, of course it will if I spread it. So what I do will matter. It's just stupid to say it doesn't matter, or no need to be a you. No need to be you. Whatever that means. Well, anyway, so I'll play some of this, but I just don't get it. I'm not giving any measure to any kind of you can change something. No, but the thought of change and the thought of doing has to be part of your script. You will not do unless the script says do on it. Yeah, that's just the way it is. And if you don't do, then there won't be any done written on the CD. The CD won't have done written on it if you don't do the do. Fuck. That's not hard to believe or understand. But I'm certainly not going to say this isn't inevitable. The fact that I'm having this reaction is completely inevitable. Yes, I mean, theoretically, if we could change things, then we could say, okay, Gary didn't watch the Mystic video and instead he took a nap, and then my whole mental perspective would be different, because I'd say, shit, I don't have to bother with this dumb argument, and I can bother with some other dumb argument. And maybe that other dumb argument would mean nothing, or maybe it'd mean something. But I'm just saying we know it, that everything just tilts on this little tiny bullshit, little tiny thoughts that pop into our head that make all the difference. And all of these interactions are part of the memes, it's part of the bowling ball rolling down the alley, or however you want to describe it. And this is all, we have to read the script. We can't just say, I'm going to pretend I'm not reading the script, I'm going to pretend I'm not part of the play, and I'm just going to be a non-me and just sit here and go, No, because I'm going to spread smallpox if I do that. That's not going to work.
How can I do this? Cut out the waffle, because this is why I've turned it off. Because the whole performance was getting me agitated and confused.
Yeah, well, you know, you called it a waffle. I'm not waffling. I've used the word script in the videos. I mean, I've made it clear. I don't have any choice but to read Gary's script. That's what I'm going to read. And Gary's script says, okay, this is how memes evolve through society. This is how the interactions go. And I'll end up choosing, you know, how to throw the ball. And I'll throw it. And all that's going to happen. But while I'm doing it, I'm not going to know what the outcomes are. I'm not going to know that the decision I made today means I don't have to do something I would have had to do tomorrow, and that cycles through my whole life in some way. Like today, I did some work that I was supposed to do maybe tomorrow, so now I don't have to do it tomorrow, so I'll be doing something else instead of the work I was going to be doing tomorrow, and because I did it today. And then because I did that today, I didn't do something else I would have been doing today. But that was all inevitable. But I'm just saying we can't see it any other way as not inevitable. So from our perspective, the CD isn't written because we can't see the part that is written that's in the future, because the future ain't here yet. It ain't written yet. But I'm not saying we can change it. I'm saying we're actively involved in it. And this is the script I'm reading. Stop reading the script? How exactly do I stop reading Gary's script? I just don't see how that works.
There is no need for it at all. The best way, I think, of going to it is just directly. And go back the 7 years that I've been talking to you about this. And I say things like, the person doesn't exist. Think of it a different...
Again, and it doesn't matter whether you make distinctions on a material level, on what level we're functioning on. As photons, it's all kind of swirly interactions, but they still have a forced continuity to the outcome. Okay, I mean, the individual atoms inside of a tornado aren't tornadoing, but in a sense they are. They're doing something different, but the different they're doing is caught up in the tornado in the end. So the pattern still has to exist inside of them, whether they like it or not, because they're part of that thing. So the fact that my liver is not Garying specifically, it's certainly essential to the Garying. So there's just, you know, again, breaking it down to smaller bits doesn't change the fact that we know we're on a logical path and that we are incrementally building understanding and changing the meme mentality of the human race one thought at a time, and that this is a truth. There's an evolution taking place. There's no denying it. So again, you can't just stop it. You can't just say, well, let's pretend there's no evolution. Well, why would I do that? And why would I think that the evolution is going to happen anyway, whether I contemplate it or not? Well, of course it will, but frankly, contemplating it is part of thinking it, is part of the process of making it. So I'm part of the thing that's going to be making it. I'm making it by reading my script. Well, what, I mean...
way this time. And it's... We know vaguely why the people want, why you don't want to say it's all on the disc, is because you want to leave yourself wiggle room.
See, now I don't see where that comes up anywhere. I don't want any wiggle room. I don't want any of this shit. I'm saying it's not written on the disc because I don't think the disc is a good example of reality, okay? I don't think reality is a fucking CD. I don't think the future is now on a CD. It's not. It's not written somewhere. It has to be written now. We're writing it now. Okay? It is inevitable. It will eventually end up on the CD, but it ain't there now. Because the future ain't now. Now, maybe you want to make the argument that the future might as well be now. Well, fine. The future might as well be 10 billion years ago. Well, fine. I don't have an argument with that. It might as well be already done with. But frankly, we don't have control over that. And right now, we're sitting here as sentient, thinking, complex organisms trying to analyze our path, and the path that will write the best crap on the CD, and it's inevitable what we will do, but frankly, if we don't contemplate it, again, if I don't think about the fact that I have smallpox and it's a contagious disease, it's likely I'm going to make other people sick, and so that future is different than the future where I decide to go into quarantine. Those two futures are different. And so quite obviously I have to be engaged in my Gary existence and thinking, or the bad future is going to happen. Clearly, maybe it's inevitable, but I'm just saying it's not inevitable because Gary is Gary. And Gary's smart enough to know, I'm sick, I'm contagious, I'm not going to make other people sick. So Gary's going to do the Gary thing and quarantine himself. What's so complicated here? I'm not saying I freely chose to do that. I'm not saying that was spontaneous. I'm saying that's completely built on the fact that this is who I am and this is what I do. I do this kind of logical thing. I do that kind of silly thing. I do this kind of emotional thing. These are the things I do, and these are the things, the impacts I'll have with those are inevitably going to happen, but I have to read the fucking script.
Do something. You want to have something to say to Pyro, to say, well, I'm alive, so I might as well try and stop some pain while I'm here, or something like that.
Right, and it's an inevitable fact. What, are you arguing that if I kill myself right now, or I live another 10 years, that the future would be the same? That if I could break inevitable just for this one event, and I could change and just say, okay, kill me now or kill me in 10 years. You're saying the future would be exactly the same. And I'm saying that's preposterous. It's ludicrous. It's silly. It's like saying if I stopped if I stopped John Kennedy from going to Texas, the world would be the same if he got assassinated or he didn't get assassinated. It's silly to say that. Of course it would be different. I mean, we still might have huge deficits, and we might have, lots of things would be the same, but lots of things would be different. And that's just the truth. So it's just stupid to sit here and argue with me that somehow this conversation, these videos, all of this stuff doesn't have to happen and the world will be exactly the same. If I don't spend my time listening to your videos, somehow I'm going to be the same exact person. That's idiotic. Of course I'm going to be affected by every fucking word you utter, every mood you have, every shaky, every little jerky thing you do will impact my brain, will change who I am. I will be affected by it, and I will read a different script for it. It's just the truth. I mean, different from what it would be if I didn't watch your video. It's just a fact. This is all part of the writing. Right now is part of the writing. Right now is part of the necessary events that have to take place for the writing of the future to take place. It's just stupid to say it doesn't matter which thing I do. That if all of a sudden I just said, okay, Nick said take nappy, and don't worry, that somehow the future would be identical if I did worky and invented super brilliant thing. Yeah, no, it's not going to be the same world. Super brilliant thing will change it. Will change it from what it would have been if I did nappy. We want to figure out what the world would be if we didn't do this thing. If we just take Y out of the vocabulary. Anyway.
As long as I jiggle the right thing, when I fall onto this person, Pyro, I might convert him into an antinatalist.
Yeah, and just like I was converted by the events that took place before, as I maturated. So yes, we're all changed by the events that happen in our lives and how we react to them, how other people react to them. Those all change how we are. This video changes people. Maybe it doesn't change it dramatically. Maybe it won't stop smallpox. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Who knows how effective this is as a mechanism for doing something. But it does do something in the sense that this is the script being written. This bowling ball is rolling down the alley and it will impact pins and shit will happen. And if the ball rolled that way or that way, it would be a different kind of reaction in the future. And different tumblers would fall, and different dominoes would fall, and different triggers would go off, and different guns would fire, and different blah 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 blah. And I'm just saying every single thing, every little thing that we're doing okay, is critical to the future. It's built on every inch of the foundation. Every inch of the foundation has an impact. And it's really hard to figure out what thing you could actually do that could make no difference whatsoever. You know, if you could actually change something, you had a millisecond of time where you could make changes to reality. You know, there might be some blades of grass you could pull out and it wouldn't make any difference to the future. But I'm betting, okay, that there's going to be significant differences for the silliest things being changed.
If I jiggle wrong, I might convert him into a...
Yeah, and wrong is just from my personal perspective right now. It doesn't have anything to do with me not being inevitable. It doesn't have anything to do with what I think is wrong being inevitable. It just has to do with the fact that my brain is engaged and it's trying to figure out right and wrong, and it's going to make a decision based on what it understands right and wrong to be. And that's the truth of it. It is a mechanical device. It's going to function in a certain way. I mean, if I pour water on this laptop, it's not going to work anymore. Okay, it's going to be broken, and it's going to change my future. So I just, how can you say it doesn't matter whether I pour water on the laptop? Of course it matters.
Mass murdering rapist. But this is, we've got to go to the bottom line, not your waffly mount.
Again, it's not waffly to point out we are currently engaged in the present. And the present isn't the future, and it isn't the past. It's the present. And that we experience the present as a flood of feelings and thoughts. And if I feel and think that I can quarantine myself to prevent the spread of syphilis, the future will be different than if I feel and think it doesn't matter. Those two thoughts, that thought difference, that subtle thought difference, will create different futures if I could run them as experiments. Clearly, I will choose to do one of those things inevitably. I will decide to do one of those things inevitably. It's not alterable. It's written. But it hasn't been scored, so to speak. I don't know how to put this, but I mean, frankly, it's just stupid to say the CD's already written when we're engaged in a present and the future doesn't exist yet. It's inevitably that it will be written, but you can't hold it up and show it to somebody. It's not here yet. We're doing it. We're making it. We're part of the cement flowing down the chute. I don't know how to put it, but it's going to harden into a foundation and into a thing. But it's happening now. It's not, you can't just say there is no past, no present, no future. I think that's just a silly way of describing reality.
On to the tightrope. We've got to go there. It's on the disc. That jiggle of yours is on the disc. The jiggle of this is society is on the disc. You're on the disc. Pyro's on the disc. Now, the thing that I'm going to shortcut here in 7 years and change it slightly is there's no point being one of them. There's no point. Without volition, and there is no volition.
Well, it depends on what you call volition. Volition doesn't mean you know, volition is like the word will, right? The word will is okay. It's the word free that's no good. Okay, and the fact that we have volition, clearly we have the feeling of volition. I don't know what you're saying in the sense of volition means that we freely compose our action. Well, I don't think that's what volition means, but let's say it's true. Fine. I don't care about the word. I've never used it. I don't think you're going to find a video where I use the word volition. I don't care about this stupid word. But what we clearly have is do or do not do based on a psychology of doing or not doing, based on a notion of doing matters or a notion that doing doesn't matter. That notion is important, and it's critical to the fact that you won't have a world where it's done if people don't have the notion of doing. So to say don't get caught up in doing is silly, frankly. I mean, you're guaranteeing, like I said, the good news is I'm not buying this rubbish, and I'm going to do, and therefore things will get done. But I don't really understand what the argument is. I mean, I don't understand how you see anything where I'm saying that we're going to change anything, except that we're part of the change. We are part of the instrumentality that will take us from the past to the future, and the past isn't the future. They're different things, and they will be different worlds. And we, based on what script we read, the script we read, there will be things that happen and there'll be things that won't happen. And I'm pretty certain that if we all read some kind of script that says don't engage, don't care, don't think about it, I'm pretty sure then the future's going to suck. Okay, it's already written suck. It's got suck already written on it, if that's what we all do. So I'm pretty sure we all have to not buy your rhetoric, or at least the impression I get from it, which is that somehow it doesn't matter whether we do or do not do. That is stupid, and I'm happy to think about the future in the sense that, well, at least I didn't fall for that trap. Yeah, at least I didn't think there was any prospect that there's some way of escaping implication, cause and effect, and that there's no way you can have a good effect unless you have a good do. You have to do good for there to be good. Do good, be good. I mean, be good. Good won't be in the future if we don't do good now. Just the truth. And we have to recognize it and see it and want it. And we're not going to do that if we're all sitting around going, doesn't matter.
Because it is all on the disc. It is pointless for this to have volition.
Well, whatever. You just said we can't have it, so why would I think I have it, or why would I care whether I have it? So I still don't understand that. The only argument I'm making is that we have to be motivated to go into quarantine to prevent the outbreak of horror. and so we still have to obey logical rules and still have to behave logically and civilized for there to be civilized effects of our behavior. The future is dependent. Good future being written on the CD can't happen, didn't happen. Alright, let's say it didn't happen if we didn't think we mattered.
To be important, to be anything, to try and influence, or want to try and influence, or want to be there, or what, this has got nothing, absolutely nothing that an ego would want to have. It can't.
Yeah, well, I don't even ego would want to have. Again, how do you not have an ego is just, to me, silly. How do you not have a personality? How do you not have an identity? How do you not have a history? And how you not be you? I will not be you, so I will be me. That's what I'm going to be. I don't have a choice. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me. I don't know how to not be me. It's a silly idea, a silly notion, in my opinion. Maybe it's what you do. And maybe I could argue that, gee, you would have been so much more productive in your life if you gave a shit and actually did something in the world instead of gardened. I mean, you have a beautiful garden. It's lovely. It's fantastic. Somebody in the future will benefit from it, no doubt, greatly. But I think you probably have fallen short of your potential in terms of a script reader and a cog in the mechanism of what would have been a better future if Nick was better motivated. If he thought he was more of a you, I think you probably would have done more good in the world. Just my impression. I'm saying if I could fiddle with the reality, I think I could probably squeeze more efficiency out of you and get a better future written on that CD. If I could change something. Obviously I can't, so that won't happen. But I can't rewrite the past. I can't undo my own failure. I could have been so much smarter if I would have just, if I could get back those 10 years I wasted, or whatever. I mean, you could probably see that in yourself too. You could say, well, the years I wasted drinking, or the years I wasted, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we can't change it. I'm not saying we can change it. I'm not saying we can change the present. I'm not saying we can change the future. I'm saying we are the present. And we can't help but see logically that we know there's a difference between the models. When we look at the two models, we can tell the difference between the model that ran because we oiled we changed the oil in the car and the model where we didn't change the oil in the car. We can figure out that those two models have different impacts, and that it's probably a good idea to change the oil in the car because that's probably going to write a better future. And so it's inevitable that we'll do that because it's the logical thing to do. And we're logical. You're saying I shouldn't be logical, I shouldn't think about it, I shouldn't worry about it, and the outcome will be the same. And I'm saying, no, that's not what's going to... I'm not going to change the oil then. Alright. Sorry. This just doesn't make much sense to me.
Control a goddamn thing. Why not? Because it's all on here.
Yeah, and what's on there is me worrying. What's on there is me caring. It's what's on there is me doing. So fuck. I mean, it's on there. It is. So what's the point of you making a video say don't put it on there? It's already on there, Nick. I'm already done it. I'm already going to do it. So why are you why are you even informing me that there's some kind of, well, there's some sort of thing you could do to not do what you're going to do? There's nothing. It's already written, like you said. So fuck, why are you making this video? I don't even understand. What's the point of making the video unless you think you're somehow going to change something? So, I mean, change it from what it would have been if you didn't make the video, okay? I mean, it's still, you know, in a sense, you're conceding my point because you made the fucking video informing me that it's already written, which is a silly thing to do because it's already written. So, I mean, fuck. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I'm just saying. I just don't think you're getting. I mean, I just think the sensible thing for us to do is to agree that this is like the subject of infinity. This is one of those you got to be a little careful kind of subjects. It's a little delicate. It's a little messy, and for you just to hold up a CD and say it's all written doesn't really get to the point that we write as we live. The writing's happening through us. We are the fucking goddamn needle bashing the vinyl. We're doing it. We're part of it happening. We can't change one single fucking ounce of it. We can't change one fucking vibration of it. But we are actively doing it. And what kind of crap is running through our brain is part of the doing. And yes, I'll continue to believe there's more productivity in me being logical and doing this Gary thing than in me going, well, I don't care. Yes, that's not gonna. I don't think that would write a good future. I don't think there's any hope of that being the better solution of the two alternatives. So clearly I'm going to do the inevitably Gary thing, and inevitably, in my opinion, the more logical thing, and retain a passion for worrying about it, my do-ness, and try to maximize my do-ness. I think that does make me more likely to be writing the better future. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm sorry. This is another half hour.
It's all done anyway.
All right, he's just going to keep saying that for the next 4 minutes anyway. So I think we're done. So anyway, I just don't. Sorry, this probably didn't help at all, and damn it. But yeah, I really, you know, there's probably no point in doing a response video when you're only going to listen to 15 minutes of the video. Because I think I sort of got to it in the second half of the video that, you know, you're not going to win a war if everybody just says, well, it's inevitable that we win the war, so I don't have to show up. You know, obviously, you're not going to win the war then. It's just, yeah. So I just don't understand what you're saying to me, how what you're saying should affect me, and in turn, how my behavior should be changed or altered. And that somehow that alteration would end up writing better future, inevitably. How this would inevitably be the better result is to have a less engaged Gary. I just don't see how that's likely or reasonable. I think that would mean the future would be suckier if Gary was less Gary. I think. Yeah. Both. Difficult.